Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
7:37. Happy Monday morning to you, Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson. We got Bill Crystal and John Sununu coming up in the 8 o'clock hour.
Wow.
Pleased to be joined now by former UN Ambassador John Bolton, also a Romney campaign foreign policy advisor. Mr. Bolton, good morning to you.
Good morning. Glad to be with you.
So let's get your initial reaction to Mitt Romney's choice of a running mate, Paul Ryan.
Well, I'm just delighted by it. I think it's an excellent choice, and the Romney campaign put out a statement for me over the weekend that said that this is a real signal of a determination to assert American leadership around the world, and to make sure that we've got the capability to do that by getting the domestic economy revived again and the unbelievable budget deficits of the Obama administration under control.
Well, we think of Paul Ryan as a budget guy, but what do we really know about his national security bent or his persuasions on things like that?
Well, I've gotten to know him pretty well. He's spoken at the American Enterprise Institute and attended a number of our functions. And, one thing that you've got to say for somebody who's been chairman of the House Budget Committee and ranking Republican on the Budget Committee, you can't perform well in those positions unless you understand not just the top-line budget numbers, but what the bricks are that build up to get it. And in the national defense and international affairs areas, I think he's had an opportunity because of that budget work to understand what the requirements are for American national security and how endangered they are by the massive budget reductions that the Obama administration has undertaken, all the while hugely overspending in a variety of other areas. That's why we have the budget deficit. So even as we bring the deficits down, as Romney has said earlier, we need to protect the defense budget to make sure we can project American power and influence around the world. And I think somebody with the budget background of a Paul Ryan could be instrumental in making those what are going to be difficult decisions on keeping defense spending adequate while getting the overall budget deficit eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few places on Capitol where you can have your fingers in everybody's pie, but chairman of the House Budget Committee is a guy who knows a little bit about all of the areas of government. I noticed Buck McKeon, chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, said he was very happy with the choice.
Yeah, no, they have worked together against this terrible sequestration that is a result of the ill-advised deficit reduction deal some time ago, and I think people are confident that Paul Ryan understands why defense spending can't be subjected to these kinds of cuts that even Obama's Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta has said would be devastating. And, I think it's symbolic, too, that this is probably a point only for Washington budget wonks, but you sit down to read the budget book, the first account is the 050 account, National Defense, followed by the 150 International Affairs account. So if you're Paul Ryan, a budget expert, the first thing you look at in every budget is the National Defense account. I just think that is emblematic that he knows where these numbers come from and what we need to do.
All right, we're talking with John Bolton, former UN ambassador. Meanwhile, in Egypt, the president there, Mohamed Morsi, has fired or told some powerful...
He retired them.
Army chiefs. A place where we could always count on the military be closer to our side of the aisle than not. What do you make of this move by Morsi?
Well, I'm very concerned about it. I think it may only be the first round in a power struggle between the Muslim Brotherhood and the military. I mean, this has been out there for decades under Mubarak and Sadat and Nasser before him. The Brotherhood was very controlled. That was one of the complaints against Mubarak and his predecessors. Mubarak always said, if I go, the Muslim Brotherhood's going to take over. Now, in the 18 months since then, since Mubarak fell, we've seen this struggle back and forth. Morsi, now president, not only retired, quote-unquote, the defense minister and a number of others, he also rescinded a decree the military had put into effect that restricted his powers as president. Now, the next step may be to try and bring the parliament back into session, which the military suspended. It's got a two-thirds or more Muslim Brotherhood Salafist majority. So I don't expect the military to sit back and just let this happen. I think there will be a power struggle, but I think you're absolutely right. We have, through massive foreign aid over the years, really got an enormous influence with the Egyptian military. We have little or none, understandably, with the radical Muslim Brotherhood, and I just think this is a potential turning point for Egypt, even at the stage where terrorists are expanding their efforts in the Sinai against Israel. So very, very dangerous point.
Another flashpoint in the world right now is Iran. I read some stuff over the weekend that suggested that Ehud Barak and Benjamin Netanyahu were very much in favor of taking some action against Iran in the days ahead, but that the rest of the parliament was sort of dragging its heels on it. What do you read into that situation?
Well, again, Israel, I think, has got to come to a decision point very soon whether it's going to use military force against that Iranian nuclear weapons program. You can bet that as long as Obama is president, we're not going to do that. Diplomacy and economic sanctions have failed. Iran continues to make progress, so the spotlight's on Israel. I also noticed over the weekend that Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon, well known to many people here in Washington as the former ambassador, said that we ought to have an international declaration that diplomacy with Iran is over. I think that's true. I think it's been true for a long time. So I think Israel's in a very, very tough position, has a hard decision to make, and sooner rather than later.
And on Syria, what should the U.S. policy be towards Syria and these rebels, these groups that are trying to go and basically overthrow Bashar Assad? Should we be arming this group?
I still think the answer to that's no. I'm still waiting to hear somebody identify the individual leaders, political and military, in the opposition that we can trust not to take weapons that we might give them and use them in a bloodbath if the Assad regime falls. So, it's one thing to talk about the rebels or the opposition, but it comes down to specific people. Who are we talking about? And I never see any names. I never see any figures of support associated with them. It leaves me very, very nervous about what's actually going on inside the opposition, which all accounts indicate remains very badly disorganized.
Well, Ambassador John Bolton, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, thanks again for having me.
Thank you.